Welcome, everyone, to the wildly opinionated news world. Not news world, news hour on Todd's
Yeah,
world.
just an
I'm
hour.
getting
We
ahead of
can't handle a
myself.
whole world of news. That's like too much, too much.
Carrie's with me. How's
Hello.
it going, Carrie?
Going great. How about you?
Good. There's a lot going on in the world.
Is there?
Yeah, have you not even kept up again? I can't imagine.
I worked really hard this week. I played and stayed up late last night
Well, that's
and
understandable.
just.
That's understandable.
What
Oh, we
about
got to
you?
have that.
I know. I'm so glad you're the responsible
I
one
always
here
keep
in
up. I
Todd's
will
world.
say that I don't pay as close of attention probably as a lot of people do.
Hmm.
But I keep up. I'm keeping
Yeah.
up on the narratives and you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I kind of know. Um,
I get a little bit, just a little bit.
yeah.
Like P. Diddy stuff and
Did you,
FBI stuff.
there was a pardon thing that happened this week
Oh, okay.
with Trump,
Okay.
obviously.
I have
He's the
not heard.
president. He would issue pardons. I
I
mean,
haven't
not
heard about this.
necessarily. We got the auto pen that did it last term, but
Right. It's
this
not
term
always
we
the
have an
president.
actual president who's doing the auto or signing the pardons.
Hmm.
Those reality TV people, the Chrisleys, did
Yeah.
you see that?
I know who they are,
I
but I
didn't because I'm not, I pay zero attention to a lot of TV and any reality TV I pay no attention to at all.
right, yeah. I've only seen trailers. I've never watched the show.
So I knew nothing about it.
Okay.
But the people were kind of upset about this pardon because I guess these people were I'm not sure where they're Atlanta, I think. Atlanta,
Okay.
Georgia. And they were convicted in like, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours by a jury,
The
whatever.
Chrisleys were?
Yeah, and they were in prison.
I did
They
not know any
they
of
they
this.
reported to prison maybe in 2023, and it was about like tax evasion,
Oh, okay.
maybe mortgage fraud. I'm not sure. Whatever Tish James is involved in, that's pretty
Okay,
much.
gotcha.
But they
Tish.
hadn't mastered it. Like, see, you can only do that kind of thing if you're in government, and the Chrisleys hadn't learned that. They thought that if you were a real estate tycoon and you had a bunch of money, that you were kind of on
Sure.
the same plane. I think this happened to Martha Stewart back in the day. I think Martha
Well,
Stewart was shocked because what's going on with Clinton and all these people, and then all of a sudden Martha Stewart goes to prison for nothing.
right. Well, do
I
you think did the Chrisleys try to blame their accountant or anything
I
or?
don't know any of the details of the case. I know
Okay.
nothing, but
Okay.
I think they by and large accepted responsibility.
Okay.
My point is that Trump. They also have a daughter who then went on to have I guess another reality TV show. And anyway, the
Okay. Sure.
daughter I don't know her name, but Savannah, that's her name, Savannah
Okay.
Chrisley. I lied. I do know her name. I put 5 minutes of
Okay.
research into this morning. That's how much I
I
know about
see
him.
her. Okay, I'm
Yeah, real pretty
skimming
blonde girl,
headlines.
right?
Okay.
And
Yeah,
she
yeah,
is a
very.
big MAGA Trumper, and
Okay.
everybody thinks that she either bought or slept for her pardon or whatever it is for her parents.
Oh
I
my
don't think any of
gosh.
that's probably true. But
Okay.
you know what I think is going on that I
Hmm.
don't think people are given enough credit to is I think that for Trump, this is part of what he perceives to be and what is a wider war between the executive branch and the judiciary. And I think that
Okay.
Trump looks at the pardon power as one of the weapons in his arsenal against the judiciary.
Okay.
And I think that Trump has a lot different feeling about things now that they raked it, they drug him through all these things, and he's supposedly convicted in New York of mortgage fraud and all this just craziness. So
Right.
my guess is that as Trump experienced what he experienced with the FBI and with Tish and with the crazy
Tish,
judges
tish,
and
tish.
everybody, I think that he has a lot less confidence in any of these government prosecutions where the government gets like 98% plea deals because they bring the whole force of the United States government against
Right.
people. And surprisingly, people can't stand up against that unless they're Donald Trump.
Right.
And
I do think I was going to say, just as an aside,
go
I
ahead.
think it's really difficult for the courts to appear appropriately unbiased and without agenda when they have high profile
Well, they're so
cases.
clearly not.
Well, exactly. That's what I
Yeah.
mean. Like, I think everyone's like, oh, they're so I think I think they're just like that mostly when it's high profile cases.
Does it
But
seem to you like the judiciary? I mean, we just had another, what, two or three this week where
okay.
we had little tin pot federal judges that decided, no, Trump can't do anything with tariffs. Did you see that?
Oh my gosh,
It's just,
no.
it's crazy. It's
No.
just, I think a federal appeals court maybe stayed that one or overturned it. But my point is, you just have lunatic
Yep.
judges, leftist lunatic judges, and they're scattered all through. In fact,
Hmm.
Trump even this week complained about the Federalist Society in his first term, giving them horrible names and him appointing some of them. And he
Okay.
just so what he I my assumption is that through that entire 4 years, that what he's got now is he's got a lot better uh list of
Okay.
potential judges and ways to
Okay.
vet them and everything else. And he's not relying on a Republican arm of the swamp. I think
Right,
it's
I know. The R
because
is not a guarantee anymore.
they did. I think did they pass that beautiful bill, the big beautiful bill this week? Or
I just remember last week that the it had passed in the House, but I haven't heard an update
I
on
think
it.
the Senate passed it, but I think
Let's
that
look.
there's some differences maybe, so they got to go back and work out their differences.
Okay,
I'm
let's
not
look here.
positive. It could be that the Senate did not pass it yet. I don't know,
Okay.
but there's been a lot of criticism of the big beautiful bill.
They don't like the name of it or they don't
Well,
like the
no, they're
contents.
just. I mean, the Democrats are saying that the Republicans are trying to kill old people and throw babies off bridges. Even
Oh
though
my
we are not the
gosh.
baby killing party, but
Right,
I feel like everybody knows who the
right.
baby killing
We're not the
party
old
is.
people killing party either.
So, but
Gosh.
then on the other side, a
Yeah.
lot of MAGA people and a lot of conservatives are really upset that that there's no Doge cuts in it, the
Oh, right.
budgetary
Yeah,
stuff,
you
all
mentioned
of
this
it.
last week.
They're really not happy with that.
I
You know
don't
what I mean?
understand. Well, yeah, I don't understand why there aren't any. I mean, I thought, what's the whole point?
Yeah. Well, part of it, I guess,
I mean,
is the
exposure, obviously,
exposure's
but it's
part of
like
it.
do something about it.
But theoretically, they're going to do the way they're doing this bill because they have such slim majorities. This is what they say. I mean, really, they're all just addicted to spending and addicted to the grift and the lobbying.
Sure.
But what the party, and I think Trump knows that, and he's just trying to work with what he's got.
Okay.
In other words, I
I
don't think that
guess.
Trump. I think Trump knows that he is going to be involved and is involved currently. Although I think he's actually being pretty for Trump. He's not being as bombastic about it as he normally would. He's kind of. I think he's playing this judiciary, his war with the judiciary, pretty good. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I think he's trying to get the American people to come to his side to see all of the craziness that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He
Yes.
cares about the public's opinion. And of course, courts don't because by and large they're not elected. Well, in
Right.
federal, none of them are elected on the federal level.
Sure.
So, um, yeah, I just think that and so
So,
I don't think that Trump wants a war with Congress and a war with the judiciary at the same time.
got it. Okay.
You
Yeah,
understand what I'm
that
saying?
wouldn't look good.
So he wants his
Um,
tax cuts, which he's going to get the biggest tax cuts, and then and he's got energy
okay.
stuff in there. He's got a lot of stuff that's going to juice the economy.
Okay,
And
good.
as
Which
and
is
as
what we
I've
need
told
because we
you,
talked about growing the
he's
economy.
hoping to
That's what
grow
we've
out
got
of
to
it,
do.
at least for now,
Hmm.
until an appetite for some kind of spending cuts and tightening the belt
Hmm.
is there, not only in Congress, but I'm not sure it's there in the American public. I have a feeling that I understand it's not a perfect representation, but
Hmm.
in 2022, after all of the COVID craziness,
Yes.
when surely we're going to clean the government out at this point.
Yes.
Incumbents were reelected at something like a 95% rate.
Okay.
Now, who's to blame for all that? I don't know. And my guess is it's a combination of things. If
Okay.
people wanted them out, it wouldn't matter how much money they had. They wouldn't be able to turn them now unless they're buying mail-in ballots and whatever. But My point is that in anything resembling a quasi real election, it wouldn't matter that much because people would be sick of them and they'd be
Hmm.
tuned in, you
Right.
know? So I think that happened with Trump, and it doesn't seem to happen with conservatives and Republicans very well on off year midterm elections. Republicans seem to
Yeah.
get really amped up for presidential elections, and
Hmm.
they seem to not have a lot of the stomach for the stuff that's taking place at the lower levels, the
Right.
representatives and this,
And I
that, and
just
the
think,
other.
sadly, the turnout for those elections is so low.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
it is.
I mean, you go and vote every time there's an election
I do.
for anything, correct?
I do.
I
Sure.
mean, I do too. It could be one little local thing, and
Yeah. I even
yeah.
voted on there was one, a special election
Hmm.
a couple weeks ago for a bond in our township, a school bond.
Okay.
Now, to be fair,
Yeah.
my ex-wife was one of the people going door to door, and she was pounding the drum, so I was pretty well aware of it, you
Sure.
know.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and I knew just enough. I didn't care that much. I trust the people that pay attention, so I don't
Hmm.
have to pay attention.
Sure, because you can't pay attention to everything.
Right. And
Kind of like your
look at the
own.
big job that I have with Todd's World. I can't be down there with the local elections.
Right. The commoners, the commoners. So,
No, I think it's terribly
yeah,
important. I just think we all have our places. You know what I mean? And I'm
exactly.
willing to cede. You know, they you know
Yeah.
stuff on that, and then
Yeah, you can't be an expert in
listen to Todd's World
everything.
and find out all the stuff that you don't know. That's what we're here for.
Even as bright and disagreeable as you are, you can't know everything.
Right. This is Trump. So we've
Okay.
got so many clips this week. We'll
Okay.
never,
Let's go.
ever get through all these clips.
Oh my
And maybe
gosh.
we don't even want to because people need to hear from us. But there's a lot of clips,
That's
is
why
my
they're
point.
here,
Yes.
supposedly.
They're here for us.
Okay.
They're here for you, Carrie.
Oh
They got to hear what
gosh.
you have to say.
I don't know.
So this is Trump. And this is
Yeah.
I think that Elon just kind of officially kind of left government, you know, the Doge thing
Right.
yesterday or day before. I'm not sure when it was, but
Okay.
he had a
I
meeting
feel like it was a while ago.
with Trump. Well,
Okay.
this is the Doge is going to stay in place, and a lot of the people are going to stay in place, but he was always going to only be there theoretically for like 120, 130 days or something.
Okay.
And he's got, to be fair, Elon's got a lot going on.
Right.
Like he believes he believes in outer space. So anyway,
I
he's
know
got
he
a
wants
lot
to
going.
like colonize other planets.
That seems crazy to me, but
It is
whatever.
a little
Okay, Elon.
crazy. Okay.
This is Trump. And what's great about this is I think that Elon's in here, but you're not going to hear much of that. Most of what you're going to hear is CNN. So what Trump did is he has, I don't know if it's an iPad or a laptop or something, and he's got it
Hmm.
up. He's got all the press in the room, and he starts playing not CNN, CNBC,
Okay.
and they're just raving about the latest economic data. And you're going to hear Trump with a few little comments thrown in here and there.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It's really great. Like, who would do this except Trump? You know, the whole time he's got this look on his face, like, I told you all of this. it's, it's so great. Here's Trump.
Rick Santelli, this just came out, and we'll just play that for a second.
Personal income is up 0.8%. That is almost triple the expectations. I'll tell you that the income numbers.
We got to get
really,
video
for the
up so
first
you can
4
see
months of
Trump's
the year,
face.
they're stellar. They're really stellar. I mean, I could go back and look at the first 4 months of many different years. Really, very strong numbers, and you're right. This administration is criticized for just about everything under the sun. I've never, ever in my lifetime
like, yeah.
had glimpses into the politics of an administration in the form of transparency like this one. Why don't we be, give credit where credit is due?
I also,
income really shooting up.
Rick, I also thought everybody was going to get one last order of imports that were going to be tariffed, and they were loading up on things. How the hell they already fix the trade, or not fix it? But
I thought
they cut
prices
it
were
in
going through
half.
the roof.
That's crazy. So there wasn't a lot of front loading of things that
Trump's
they needed
just
before the
smiling
tariffs hit.
the whole time.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it really does call into question some of the conventional wisdoms.
Oh.
And, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next month when we get this number, or we see some of the other numbers like current accounts, see how they fared. Because I don't know, I've been watching these numbers a long time. I don't think I've ever seen the trade deficit cut in half in 1 month.
Not bad. Not bad.
Come on, guys.
Nice. Okay, so where did he play this on his iPad?
In the Oval Office with all the press there, everybody's there. And he's
Nice.
showing everybody.
There you go.
They in 1 month, he cut
Mhm.
the trade deficit in half. That's insane.
That's insane.
Yeah,
But I mean,
what
that's
these guys from
just
CNBC are saying. Nobody thought any of this could happen.
right.
And Trump just sits there like Trump is the definition of smug in that clip.
I bet. I bet.
You think
You
of
know
all
what?
he's been through and all the shit that everybody's talked about him. And
Yeah.
he's just like, I told
Yeah.
you.
I told you. Oh my gosh, I love it.
And he's right. He's
Incredible.
been right. I mean, it's hard to think of how many. What's Trump been wrong on? Really, I have a hard time coming up with things.
Right.
I would look at things in his first term, and I didn't like some of the staffing that took place. I didn't
Right.
like some of the appointments. But again,
Yeah.
I think he got thrust into something he didn't have the.
Right. And you
He
and I
was
talked about the
using
COVID.
swamp stuff, you know.
Yeah, and you and I talked about the COVID stuff before. But when he comes up with a plan and he comes up, he implements it. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's hard to come up with anything that he's been wrong on.
No,
I know.
he's right on. It's been pretty fabulous.
Love
So
it.
that's Trump's big, everything's starting to come together.
Okay, good.
Do you want to hear a little FBI news? Little Cash
Yes.
Patel, Dan Bongino?
Yes.
Because there's a lot of frustration in MAGA world with Cash Patel and Dan Bongino and the FBI. Everybody feels like the FBI is slow pedaling things. As a
Well,
matter of fact, go
well,
ahead.
I was going to say, you played a clip last week about how they explained like this takes a while.
Uh-huh.
And we talked about that. It's like they're basically asking everyone to be patient, that they're on it.
Before I play Cash and Dan,
Yeah.
and they're not going to address this, but this is the first I've seen. To me, this seems like a trial balloon. This is Julie Kelly, Julie Kelly's been great. She started out
Okay.
as, I think, a food blogger or something. But anyway, once everything got rolling with J6er, she was at all the trials and she's been covering them and everything else and really good. But she also has pretty good relationship with Cash Patel and Dan Bongino and theoretically would have some maybe would have access to a little something, I don't know, info wise before
Okay.
other people. Now
And her
listen
name
to
is
what
Julie
it's Julie Kelly.
Kelly.
But
Okay.
listen to what she says about the FBI and Epstein.
Okay.
I also don't care about the Epstein information. I don't care about those files. I think it's irrelevant. I don't care about those files. I think it's irrelevant. I think it's irrelevant. No one is going to be charged. Everyone got away with it. No one is going to be charged. Everyone got away with it. And I would much rather dig into
You can tell they got
January
it.
6th. Much rather dig into.
like that. You've got to get no.
That was Steve Bannon coming in, and he's
Okay.
about to tell her that that's crazy talk.
Okay. All right. That is he
I
about
wonder
to say that
if
it's not
that's-
over?
Well, he's about to tell her how important it is, I think. But I don't have the
gotcha.
rest of it. That my point is, if
Yeah.
that's a trial balloon, if that's a first shot of them throwing something out there to say, let's see how this is going to play.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying? How's that idea play with you? I don't care about Epstein. Everybody got away with it. Let's just move on.
I don't I would never call that irrelevant. I mean, the suspicions of the people involved with the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein, I mean, it's relevant to the entire country. And
Not everybody
and
got away with it. Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison right now. Who did
Well-
she traffic to? What was her crime? If
Right.
everybody got away with it.
yeah,
I mean,
I know. So what you think that the media is trying to float that to
no, I
see?
wonder if
the FBI?
Bongino and Cash Patel are,
Okay.
and the DOJ even, Pam Bondi.
It does not sit well with me. No.
I suspect
Mhm.
that they may find that they don't have anything, that everything has been destroyed and they don't have anything to build any cases on.
Got it.
Now,
Well,
if that's the case,
that
then why is
sucks.
Jazane Maxwell in jail? That's all I want to know.
Right.
Okay? Because if she didn't traffic anyone, or if we have no evidence that she did, I don't
Right.
understand why she's in jail.
Sure.
And yeah, this sets really badly with me. If this is,
I
if
don't know.
that,
Do you
if
think?
that were to come, if this comes true,
Hmm.
this in my mind is, well, am I disappointed? You know what I think about the FBI.
Yeah.
You know that I think the FBI is irredeemable, and I think we should burn it down and
Yep.
salt the earth and
Yep.
break it up into other agencies and just be done with it. I
Absolutely.
understand that not everybody's Trump doesn't seem to think that's true.
Okay.
Bongino doesn't seem to think that's true. But that to me, 20-second clip happens to be the only place I've seen it or heard that expressed. And I thought sometimes when I see things like that, they ring a bell and I think, I might see this again. I feel like, you know what
Like
I
you're going to
mean?
hear other people say it's irrelevant.
Yeah,
It's
maybe.
over. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and it'll
I
just,
don't
well,
know.
that's just what's going to happen is they're going to have to find a way to play it off because I don't think they have the goods. I don't know if they were all destroyed. You know, I just don't know.
Right.
I really don't know. Here's
Whew.
Bongino talking about did you see that Comey
Yeah, I was going to say, are we going to talk about James Comey? Because
yeah, and this
he's
actually is a clip about
ridiculous.
James Comey, but
Yeah.
he tech or no, he didn't text. He put on social media or something that
Hmm.
stupid picture 8647, right?
Yeah.
With
With
stones on the
seashells on
beach
the beach.
that he
Like,
just randomly happened to run into walking
oh,
along the
okay. So
beach
he
with
found
his
it.
wife. Oh, that's what he says.
Okay.
Now, you understand 8647 means kill the president.
Yes.
That's what it means. Everybody knows that 86 means
This
to,
president specifically.
yeah, and Trump's
Yeah.
the 47th president. So I mean, it
Right.
was clear what it means.
Yeah.
And if the former head of the FBI is shooting that out there, you wonder how many sleeper guys are out there seeing that who start to go into action.
Right. Yeah.
I
Well, and
don't know.
apparently he started a trend
Mm-hmm.
that people are like posting this. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead. Go ahead.
This is Bongino talking about Comey, I believe. Let's see.
Okay.
Of
Yeah.
Jim Comey because he cannot control himself and his emotions. He is a child. He is a big child. And let me tell you one more thing. Jim Comey, who wants you to believe, Jim Comey taking a shot at the president. Oh, look at me. I'm such a victim. The president's going after me. He's making a ton of money on this book. The only person that got prosecuted was the president. Jim Comey, we're finding stuff even now. Wait till you read the stuff that's coming out.
Does he still have loyalists in the building? Because when I hear the FBI director saying, you guys are finding boxes that are hidden, okay, how does that happen in the Bureau?
Well, we were there a couple of weeks, and luckily there were a lot of people up there who grabbed us by the arm the minute we came in and said, thank you for being here. You know, we need to talk.
That's
There
encouraging.
were people there who were really horrified at what happened. And there was a room, and we found stuff, a lot of stuff.
A hidden room.
I wouldn't call it hidden, but hidden from us at least, and not mentioned to us. And then we found stuff in there, and a lot of it's from the Comey era, and we are working our damnedest right now to declassify. And just so you know, because I get the public, I totally understand people saying, well, do it now. The process is not all the information is ours to declassify. Some is other intelligence agencies. It's not, we literally can't do it. Once that gets done and that gets out there and you read some of the stuff we found that, by the way, was not processed through the normal procedure, digitizing it, putting in FBI records. We found it in bags hiding under Jim Comey's
really
FBI.
quickly,
You're going to be stunned.
The shells on the beach. Can you not talk to social?
So he doesn't answer that. The clip's basically over.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I missed a little part of that because I was looking something up that I wanted to share. And it's related to this, but
Well, the long and short of it is that the FBI was so corrupt that they're finding things that were never entered into evidence, that were kind of tucked away, never meant to be found.
right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and it's just weird because I think why wouldn't that be destroyed unless they're saving it to be used,
Well,
as
no.
leverage later or
Yeah, who knows?
But so this 86 concept, I couldn't remember who it was, but I looked it up and I'm like, oh, it was Gretchen Whitmer. Your
Oh, Gretchen Whitmer.
governor.
Go ahead.
Do you remember this?
I'm not sure what you're going to say. Let's hear it.
Okay, back during one of the campaigns. Okay, this is 2020. Gretchen Whitmer was being interviewed by, oh, who's this guy? You know this guy.
I'm
Ugh.
probably do.
On Meet the Press. He's whatever. Chuck somebody. Ugh.
Chuck Todd.
Chuck Todd.
Chuck Todd's World.
Chuck Todd was interviewing Gretchen Whitmer,
Mhm.
and she's like in her office in Lansing.
Sure.
And behind her on the desk is this little
Oh, I remember that.
45.
I forgot
because
about
at that
that.
time, Trump had been,
Mhm.
the 45th president. Yeah, she has this in her office. Well, it was a big hullabaloo.
Yes, I remember.
Now,
Now
I
that you
don't-
say that, I recall. Do you know
Yep.
what else? Now that you brought up
Yep.
Big Gretch.
Gretch.
You know
Gretch
who else?
sounds like some like villainous creature from like Lord of the Rings, like,
I
the
think there was some
Gretch.
beer that a brewery in Michigan made like a Big Gretch beer, or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because she likes to have beer. Whatever.
Okay.
I mean, she probably does. I don't know. She looks
Did
like
it
she likes to
sell
party
well,
to
or
me.
was it disgusting?
I don't know. But
Okay.
but you just brought up Gretchen Whitmer. Do you
Yeah.
remember during COVID
Mhm.
when Gretchen Whitmer was part of a kidnapping plot? They were going to kidnap her. Do you recall
Oh.
this? And
I do recall that.
and there was like two mostly retarded men, and everybody else was an FBI informant or an undercover FBI. And they talked these two mostly retarded men into doing some, just showing up some places. They didn't really do anything. They're just kind of wandering around like mostly retarded people do. But anyway, and I don't even know if they are, but they're not like, point is, they're not the brightest people.
Got it.
Obviously, they're fine. They're trying to, they were just looking for somebody that would be stupid enough.
I was going to say they were just
play their game.
manipulated. Okay.
Trump is talking about pardoning them, those two. And I think he should. Yeah, I think that was a Fed-napping plot.
Surely. Surely those men were not paid to do that.
No, I don't think they were. I don't know what. But
Oh my
point is
gosh.
that again.
Maybe they were promised a lifetime supply of Big Gretch beer.
But that again tells me that Trump's going to aggressively wield the power of the presidential pardon, I think,
Okay.
against the judiciary. I don't know where it's all going to go.
Basically to say, wherever I see injustice by the judiciary, I'm going to undo it with
Right.
my own executive power.
Yep.
Okay.
You think you can undo my shit? I can undo your stuff.
Okay. Well,
And you don't have an army, so I can do
long
whatever I want with tariffs.
As long as he doesn't set free violent, Maryland
Yeah, I don't think he's
men,
going to do that. You know what I mean? But I think that
Yeah.
I really think after going what he went through, I think he has a completely different view
True.
of federal prosecutions and federal politicized power. And I
Yeah,
think he
that's
sees
true.
it in a lot more places than he would have in his first term. You know what I mean?
hmm
So
So, do you think that he believes or are there people out there who believe that this Chrisley family situation was like politically motivated in some way, or
I don't know the answer to that, to be honest with you. I haven't
Okay.
dug into it enough.
okay,
I assume he had some rationale for it. I just didn't.
okay,
It wasn't something that interested me enough. But once
Yeah,
I
I
saw
don't
it, I
really.
started, and then I heard the thing about the Whitmer kidnappers. She
Kidnappers.
was so scared. Her husband almost put off going up and putting the boat in when everybody else wasn't allowed to. For COVID. She's such a moron. Our entire triumvirate, we have a Governor Gretchen Whitmer. I keep trying to say
Uh-huh.
Wilson. Dana Nessel is our lesbian attorney general.
Yeah.
And then who's our Secretary of State? Jocelyn Benson. And they are just
Oh.
they're so corrupt. Just start to finish. That three is doing everything they can to destroy this state.
hmm
And it's
Todd,
sad
you
to
just
see.
really sound like a sexist right now.
Sexist. Oh, you know what? I had a different clip, but I should really play this clip since you
Okay.
just brought that up. It plays in just perfect. I just got to find it.
Okay.
It's our old friend Joy Behar
Oh, joy.
on The View.
I can't wait till the view. Hey, we're gonna have a special episode celebration with champagne or whatever beverage of choice when that show gets canceled.
I agree.
Yeah.
Although it'll be sad with all the clips that we'll miss.
They'll probably just be like Robert De Niro and go out on the street finding people
Yelling
with
at people.
microphones and just venting. Yeah, just ranting like
I'm
crazy people.
moving.
Which
No, don't. Don't do that,
don't
Bobby.
move.
I'm pretty sure your best films are behind you, bud. I think we've seen all you have to give us.
Ouch.
So, the Democrats are, the Democrats have a lot of big problems. We played last
They
week the
do,
clip
yeah.
about how they're dead in the water, remember,
Right.
and everything's just going to hell. Well,
They're
the
doomed
Democrats
right
have
now.
decided to spend $20 million on an outreach to young men. They're
Okay.
having a problem with young men who still have their testicles attached.
Yeah. Is this outreach refraining from calling them toxic and
Well, that's the thing. Listen to Joy Behar talk about this outreach.
You want to know what I think? I think it's a waste of money. Maybe these guys should spend their money on teaching men to not be such sexists. Maybe that's
The stats don't bear that out now that we've seen the election results. Donald.
To me, that's perfect. That's exactly what we want the Democrat in the media to think. Yeah,
Yep.
the problem is with them. Bunch of idiots.
right.
We need to teach them not to
Good
be
job,
so sexist.
Joy. Good job, Joy. I want to, you know what? We should our campaigns should just hire her.
She knows so much.
I know.
It's amazing. Anyway, back to the FBI. That was just a little, you said that
Okay.
about being sexist, and I remembered I
Yeah.
had that clip laying there, and I thought,
a
we got to
little
get
aside.
Joy in here. A
Save
little bit
that.
of joy.
Yeah. Save that. Okay.
Kamala brought us joy.
Oh my gosh.
So
Okay, I should set this up. This is Dan Bongino talking about when he and Cash were sworn in.
the moment Cash and I swore in, we realized that the first thing we had to do is rebuild public trust. This is your FBI. It's not mine. I tell the employees every day, you don't own it, you don't own it, I don't own it.
Well, I wanna
It's like
burn
being
it
the
to the
center
ground
fielder
then.
for the Yankees. That'll live with you forever, but you don't own the Yankees. It's a proud franchise. The place has taken a reputational hit. There is zero question about it. There were a lot of bad actors. One of them still out there causing us all kinds of trouble.
Comey.
So
Comey.
we had to fix it and rebuild public trust. One of the ways to do it is these cases of significant public interest that matter. You know, we had 2 pipe bombs planted on January 6th. I mean, we were told by partisan actors out there this was the insurrection, the world was going to fall apart, and no one seemed to show any interest in this case. The second we got in, I put
Do you
a
know what
team
he's
on it,
talking
and
about?
I said,
I wonder why.
The pipe bomber?
So, no, I heard about this. I
There
heard
was a
about this
phantom,
from-
a pipe bomb got discovered by the DNC headquarters on January 6th before the Civil War broke out.
Okay.
And they,
Was it
no.
a real pipe bomb?
that's what nobody really buys, is that
Okay.
everybody thinks this was concocted by the FBI, and the FBI's never shown any real interest in who would have planted the thing.
Okay, it didn't detonate or anything
No.
like. It didn't do any damage. Okay,
No.
so
They just
This-
happened to find it. They just happened
Allegedly.
to find it.
got it.
And
Okay.
and that enabled Kamala to make her quick escape and look like a hero because they're trying to kill her.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, back to Dan.
I want answers on this, and I'm pretty confident that we're closing in on some suspects. We got to. The reason, by the way, I use social media with these cases, I'm trying to communicate on social media, is nothing's by accident, guys. I do nothing by accident. Every time I put a tweet out on it, we get tips. We got a fascinating tip on one of these cases, one of the 3. I don't want to say which one, but I'm pretty confident that we're going to close out one of them, hopefully shortly. And in the cocaine in the White House, you know, I saw someone on social media, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. We work for you, but said, I don't care about the case. Yeah, I do. I was a Secret Service agent. A potentially hazardous material made its way into the White House. Nobody seems to know how it got there, and nobody seemed to investigate it fully. Like, you know, what planet do we live on where that's not of public interest? So,
What do you think?
I
What
like
planet
it.
do we live on?
Well, I like Dan Bongino.
Do you
I
care
think
about the
he's,
cocaine in the White House?
I mean, I'm curious, sure. I
I
guess it's funny because I wouldn't have looked at it that way, but he said, I'm a former Secret Service. This is a dangerous thing. But what I want to know is,
I think we got a vampire in the White House. That seemed like a bigger problem to me at the time. Whatever they were using to reanimate him maybe was not the biggest problem. I got a feeling there was a lot of substances in that White House.
yeah, I know. Just look in Dr. Jill's bag, right?
Was it I'm sure it was one of the Bidens. Who even cares? It could have been Kamala. Everybody knows that these people were nothing but just just criminals, start to finish.
Right. But I think he's just being so smart. That clip you just played, the first thing he said is so incredibly smart for him to recognize that there's zero trust for the FBI right now, unless you're in the swamp or unless,
I agree.
unless you're a Trump deranged person who just here's the FBI, who thinks it's a great idea for James Comey to post a picture like that
So you
of
do
the
care about
seashells.
the cocaine in the White House, or
Well,
no?
what I care about is I care that there are these incidents, there are investigations that just fade off into the past. That's what I care about.
Okay.
If it was being investigated, see
If
it
you
through,
believe
tell
there
us
was
what
a real
happened.
investigation, right?
Right, right. I mean, there should be an investigation about an alleged pipe bomb outside the DNC.
There should be.
And and what I want to know is it planted there by, like you said, actors,
Actors.
FBI actors? That's what I
Angelina
want.
Jolie was out there dropping pipe
Laura
bombs.
Croft, DNC raider. I mean, that's what I want to know. I just want to know. I want them exposed. See, because I think this is what I think. These incidents happen. They make a big fuss about it to try to make, conservatives look bad, and then it disappears because it's probably fake.
Yeah,
So
that's
if
true.
it's fake, I want Dan Bongino to like shed light on it. And
It's what Rush called the drive-by media. That's what they
yes,
do.
yes,
They do
yep.
drive-bys. They do
I
media
want,
drive-bys,
yep, I want them
blow something up
exposed.
and then disappear, and the story's gone. Nobody ever knows if it was true. Nobody ever knows what happened.
Right. And so, for instance, I remember getting into an argument with this man I worked with. He worked at the school where I subbed,
Okay.
and he was just like up at night, stressed about what a horrible person Donald Trump is.
He's
And I
up at night.
remember him looking at me in panicked seriousness and talked about Russia. I
Russia,
remember that.
Russia, Russia.
Exactly. And I'm like, that's like a victim of the drive-by media. Never like closed the loop on what that story was really about. If he's sitting there using it as an ace in his pocket
Hmm.
to condemn Donald Trump to me, I was just like, dude.
Here's Steve Bannon. Let's see what he has to say about whether
Okay.
he cares about the cocaine.
It cannot be saved. It cannot, cash. You're
He's talking about the
a
FBI.
hall
Okay.
of heroes over there. There are no heroes.
Hmm.
Because even the guys that are the good guys, the FBI, nobody came forward because they didn't believe we would ever come back into power. And guess what? We're going to be in power a long time. We need to take the FBI apart, and we need to take it apart today. It can.
I'm with Steve.
Dismantle,
That
destroy.
said, I understand. You know what? I voted for Trump,
Mhm.
and I trust Trump, and I also understand that they need some time to try to. I am still skeptical of whether it can be repaired, but I understand that if it could, and if it's to be attempted, it's going to take some time, and I'm willing to give them the time to do it. You know what I
Yep.
mean? I'm not stomping my feet saying this, that, or the other. I
Mhm.
just, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, Todd, if
I'm
if the new
skeptical.
right, but if our new guys, Cash Patel and Dan Bongino, march into the FBI, tear everything apart, fire everyone, for example,
Hmm.
if that's what happened, it would only look to, I mean, the media would spin it, and everyone who isn't convinced of the truth right now would simply believe that we were destroying, that it was all like to cover our own asses.
I'm sure that that's what Trump and his advisors with their advice, have given Trump to believe, and that may be true. I don't
Yeah.
know, and
Well,
then it
it's
may be that
100% true.
he
They'd be
has
like,
looked
we'll
at
never
it.
know. He just went in and destroyed the place.
Yeah,
And he probably had this, and then they'll be able to throw out anything they want. Well, we have someone who
it's all
told
in
us
the
that,
FBI.
yeah, that this was happening. Trump did this and whatever.
He
So
burned it all to the ground with the J. Edgar Hoover building.
exactly.
Okay. Hey,
So
no, you know what? This is something that I hope that I'm wrong on.
okay,
I think
really?
I am, but I hope that Trump is right, and I hope
Okay,
that Bongino's right, and I hope Cash is right, and
okay,
I hope that they can that they can clean it up. Like they seem to think that they can.
okay.
I hope that's true. I'll be surprised if it is, but I do hope that it's
Yeah.
true. This is Dan Bongino. Last clip.
Hmm.
This one will pull on your heartstrings a little bit. I know how you like that sometimes. And I'll give you as much of that as you probably need in this show. So
I mean, it's the news, so
you need.
it's hard. It's hard to find. Go ahead.
Let's hear. Let's hear Dan.
I mean, I gave up everything for this. I mean, my wife is struggling. I'm not a victim. I'm not Jim Comey. It's fine. I did this, and I'm proud I did it. But if you think we're there for tea and crumpets, well, I mean, Cash is there all day. We share it. Our offices are linked. He turns on the faucet. I hear it. He's there he gets in at like 6 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't leave till 7 at night. I'm in there at 7:30 in the morning. He uses the gym. I work out in my apartment. But I stare at these four walls all day in D.C., by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And it's hard. I mean, we love each other, and it's hard to be apart.
But you're doing some great work. You're straightening out the FBI. You're moving buildings. There's a lot of change.
I got one more thing. I mean,
What do you think?
He's separated from his wife. Is that what he
No,
said?
he meant that
Oh.
in D.C. is that they're not that he's spending all his time in D.C.
Oh.
and they're not together because
Got it.
she's probably in Florida or
Okay,
someplace.
thank
I
you,
can't
thank
remember
you.
where their home was and where the
Okay.
podcast was based. I feel like it was in
I
Florida.
feel like he said, oh, really? Why did I think he was in like Pennsylvania or
Nah,
something?
he's in Florida
Anyway,
somewhere.
okay.
At least he was for
Hmm.
whatever. But
Right.
yeah, how
Well,
do you feel?
I mean, I think what he's saying is it's kind of like we talk about Trump. It's like, you're giving up your life to try to play a part in improving our country
Yeah.
and right now saving our country. So, I mean, I like him. I
I
didn't know
like
a lot
Dan
of,
too, and I hope
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought when I heard that he was going into the FBI, I thought, why would he do that? Why would you give up everything for
Right.
an institution that deserves nothing more than to be dismantled and burned
Oh,
up?
gotcha.
I
Okay.
just don't
Well,
understand it. But
right. Well, maybe
they don't
maybe we
believe
can
that.
save it.
And hey, I'm here for it, guys. Prove me wrong.
We're rooting for you, Dan and Cash.
I can only say that from the looks of their faces every time I see them on interviews, I think I was right. They aren't saying it yet, but I was right.
Oh, it's brutal.
It's
I bet.
miserable because you can't. It's too far gone. That's it.
Terrible.
But you know what? Maybe this is it. Maybe Trump's right. Maybe if I was in Trump's chair
Hmm.
in the Oval Office, I would see it this way, and I would say, you know what? You're right. That it is not going to be. It's too corrupt. We're not going to be able to redeem it. But
Mhm.
we have to show the country that we
Yep.
did everything in our power to fix it, and it was simply unfixable. And once at least a majority of the country is convinced it's unfixable,
Hmm.
then we pull the plug, and then
Yep.
we split things up and we restructure. We do whatever.
Exactly. I mean, that's it's a difficult thing, but I think that's, either
And
they're
Trump
going to
may
succeed
be right.
or they're going to, like you say, prove to the country we did everything we could.
So either way, it's a win, I guess.
Yep.
Either way, it's exposure. We got the right people in there for exposure.
Exactly.
I would not want to be Cash or Bongino being that frustrated all the time. But,
No, that's got to be tough.
But you know what? Thank God for them. They're out there doing the best that they can, I think.
Yeah. And it's
So,
good they have each other. I feel like they have great
Yes,
there's
they're
a
listening to each other's
great chemistry
faucets.
there.
From what we're told, what we're given to believe.
That's funny.
So there's that. There's
Okay.
our FBI stuff.
Okay.
What else is going on in the world? Oh,
What else?
I told you I was at a birthday party last night. It was kind of
Oh yeah.
a last second invitation. Um, I think they forgot about us. No, I'm just kidding. I think we're like in that like you just make the cut thing, and they're like, "Oh shit, we better invite that day up." But anyway, it's fun.
I'm sure you made it lots of fun.
I enjoyed
Okay.
everybody. It was great. But anyway, we're at this birthday party,
Hmm.
sitting outside on the deck, whatever. It's getting later, and somebody they start talking about how all of these people, and a
Hmm.
lot of them are young people, teenagers, are just dying. They're just dropping dead.
Oh no. Are teenagers dropping dead
Well, of course
somewhere?
they are, all over
Yeah.
the place. Here's
Oh boy.
now this is not a clip. This I'm going to read to you. But it's doctors warn of massive spike in Americans suddenly dropping dead from unexplained heart attacks.
Wow.
Americans are dropping dead from heart attacks at home at alarming rates, doctors warn. Researchers at Mass General Brigham, a Harvard affiliated hospital, found that heart related deaths have gone up 17% in
Wow.
the years following the COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
What they meant is the COVID jabs.
Well, I think it's COVID also.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do. Because yeah, all kinds of like cancer, shocking, unexpected deaths among people I know who did not get vaccinated but have had COVID.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Are you seeing in some of the people you know who were unvaccinated? Are you seeing some of the like turbo cancers and stuff that they're seeing? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, and I'm like, I don't know if my cancer was a turbo cancer, but I'm a good example of it.
Yeah. Well, your cancer probably wasn't, I don't think. I mean,
Well, it was stage 3 in 2021.
fast.
I thought so.
Well, had you been checked? I mean,
Nope, I hadn't.
so
So
it's hard to tell.
it's hard to tell.
But I
But
mean, we're talking about people. I've heard stories of people who they'll go in for a check 6 months earlier, and
yeah.
then they'll come back and they got stage 4 cancer.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's
And
horrible.
and,
I
and we're
don't have
talking
that
about
kind
stage
of
4
data.
cancers that normally wouldn't, like, by and large,
Yeah.
breast cancer, colon cancer, they don't grow that fast. I mean, there
Mm-hmm.
are some cancers probably that do, but by
Mm-hmm.
and large, it doesn't in 6 months go from nothing to stage 4.
Right.
And we're seeing a lot of that. And maybe
Well,
you're right. Maybe COVID's part of it. I don't know.
yeah. Well, I will say about my own that like it was noticeable very fast.
Okay.
I mean, because I noticed it and
Oh,
that's
you
why I
noticed
went
all
in.
of a sudden having a lump or whatever and then
Yeah.
going in. That just kind of
Yeah, it was kind of
appeared.
like, what the heck? Yeah.
So maybe you're right.
So maybe I don't
I
have,
have no idea. You know way more about cancer than I do, having
I
dealt with it
mean,
and lived with it.
well,
I
and I
mean,
was
I
gonna
lost a
say,
mom to it, but she
yeah, but I
really didn't
mean,
have any time to fight it,
yeah,
or you know what I mean.
right.
It wasn't that kind of thing. It wasn't where people
Yeah.
are going in and beating cancer and ringing bells. That wasn't. I didn't get that kind of
Yeah.
experience. So
Right.
you did, and so you've seen people, and you got a lot bigger breadth of experience with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so you
I
kind of
mean,
you
just
maybe you're
it
right about COVID and the COVID jabs, but
maybe.
that did come up last night. And I
Okay.
wasn't even the one who brought it up.
Oh, okay. So what? Oh, so they were talking about you were like,
They were
finally,
acting baffled.
some good
Couple
kind of
people were like, I don't understand it. People are just dying. And we had one
okay.
in Allendale this year. One of our star basketball players in Allendale High School, senior, just dropped dead
Oh my
on the
gosh.
court.
Oh
And
no.
in fact, at the graduation, they did a big thing. Like they had a big memorial, and then his parents walked across the stage and got his diploma and all this stuff.
Oh gosh.
So all, you know,
That's
it,
heartbreaking.
yeah. But my point is, it's not just here; it's all over the place.
Right. So what were they saying last night? They were saying
Then
they don't
somebody
know.
said it's COVID jabs, and I was like, yeah, it's absolutely COVID jabs. they,
Yeah.
your government is trying to kill you. That's the answer. I mean, you
Did
may
you
not
say that
like
at
the
the
answer.
party?
Yeah, the government's trying to kill you. It didn't turn into a big thing. I wasn't
Okay.
trying to have like a huge discussion.
It
But I
wasn't while they
think
were bringing the cake out and
no,
singing
and by
happy
and
birthday.
large, these people probably aren't far from where I'm at
Okay.
politically. I wouldn't think. We don't
Sure.
talk about it a lot in that particular group.
Well, and I'm kind of curious how people like that would react to this because you and I are like, well, yeah, it has to do with COVID and the COVID jab. And
100%.
there are people out there who are like, really? Like, wait, what?
Do you know there's still a lot of talk? I've read studies, I've seen stuff about the spike proteins jumping from the jab to the unjab. Like specifically if people are intimate, say they're having sex or they're kissing or they're doing things like this, like the spike proteins jumping, and people who are unvaccinated suddenly are developing signs of illnesses that are associated with the jabs.
Oh,
Isn't
dang.
that
That's
crazy?
horrible. Yeah.
I think, what do they call it? Um, I don't know if it's vaccine shedding or if it's
Oh,
spike protein
I've heard of the
shedding or whatever
shedding.
it is.
I've heard of the shedding, but I wasn't sure exactly how it
Yeah.
worked.
So
So
anyway, that's a
exchanging bodily fluids with a
they think
vaccinated
I
person.
think it's still kind of like they don't know. Everything is so
Jeez.
because nobody wants to look
Somebody
into
knows.
it.
Yeah,
You know what
somebody
I mean?
knows. Hmm.
And so yeah, I just think it's
Can the FBI look into that?
no. The
They're not
FBI is
going
too
to do
busy
that.
with pipe bombers.
Okay, gotcha.
They're trying to figure out how to tell the public that we don't really have anything on this whole Epstein guy. I don't know what to
Oh
tell
my
you.
gosh.
We don't even really know why
Yikes.
this chick is in jail, but we're going to leave her there.
Wow.
Okay, this one is going to hit a little more closely home to you because you have sons, you have boys.
Okay.
And this is Laura Ingraham talking to Tommy Lahren. You know who they
Yeah.
both are. Laura
Mhm.
Ingraham, of course, they're both with Fox, but Tommy
Yep.
has her own show. She's younger, right?
I love Tommy.
Okay. Listen to this clip, and then we're going to talk about it afterwards because I think you're going to have some opinions.
Wild opinions? Okay, let's go.
Wildly opinionated Carrie.
I like
Okay,
it.
let's see what she has to say.
It's a major problem. And you know, Speaker Johnson has been talking about those maybe deadbeat folks that are on Medicaid, and maybe some of those folks are the stay-at-home sons. We don't know. But I'll tell you this, leave it to Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. They did much the same thing with quiet quitting, where you can go to work and do less. And if you call it quiet quitting, it's somehow better. But Laura, I got to tell you, this is also a big problem when it comes to, I think, declining birth rates, people not getting married and having children. You know, that's a big problem. They blame it on women. Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young women out there that want to get married. They want to have kids. They want to have stable families. But there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash. And therein lies a big part of the problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Tommy Lahren is wildly opinionated. Imagine.
She is. Oh
What do
my
you
gosh.
think? What do you think of her wildly opinionated opinions?
So I do see on one hand, I do see what she's saying because
Okay.
I think that is an issue. I'll say, so for those who don't know, the reason Todd is throwing this at me the way he did is because I have two young adult sons living at home.
Are they Gen Z or I don't know. I don't know what the
They're
Gens
Gen
are.
Z.
Okay,
Yeah,
they're Gen Z.
they're
Yeah.
22.
Yeah, they're not millennials, obviously, right?
They're not, yeah, they're 20. I'm not that old.
No. Okay.
They're 22.
But they work. It's not like
Oh,
they're not
yeah.
productive members of society.
This is what I was gonna say. So did you see the little conversation that I posted that my mom, while she was here, asked Alexander, "Hey Alexander, is gamer a negative term? Is it like
I don't think I saw that. No.
Oh, this is so hilarious. I posted it because it was the funniest thing I had heard in a while. My mom said, "Hey Alexander, is gamer a negative term to use to describe someone?" He says, "Not if you're employed."
So, what do you think
So-
about what Tommy said? I'll tell you this: Matt Walsh. You know who Matt Walsh is
Yes.
from the Daily Wire. I don't have his tweet right up in front of me,
Okay.
but it was somewhere he tweeted about this, and it was something along the lines of, young men by a 60% margin want to get married and have families. It's by far young women who don't.
Oh.
Now
okay.
we have disagreement
Gotcha.
in the conservative media ranks. And I'm wondering what you
Yeah.
think. No, I'm not saying necessarily even because your kids live at
Right.
home with you necessarily. I understand.
Oh,
but
okay.
Just you have
mean-
Gen Z boys.
I have Gen Z boys
have-
and I have a Gen Z daughter.
Yeah, you have both.
And son-in-law.
And she's kind of going after, and then Matt Walsh was saying, no, it's not that. And I thought, well, what does Carrie think? You probably know.
Well, I was going to say, so my sons, yeah, They work full time. They're living here, they're saving money because they're hoping to be able to buy a house someday, and you just can't do that the way you used to. So,
I have no problem with a living situation where people
yeah,
where kids live longer and you
right,
got a big enough house and they kick in some rent and they help and everybody's
right.
I don't have any issue with that. To me it makes
The
sense.
but the future plans, like the vision that they have for their lives, is definitely not like it's not that way. I hope that that changes. I just think when I was 22, did I really like want to? I probably did. I think I always wanted to have
Hold
a
on, their
family.
vision isn't what? What are you saying? What?
It isn't like they aren't like, oh, I want to meet a nice girl. I want to get married. I
Okay,
want to have a
that's what you're saying.
family. Yeah, that conventional picture of their future is not, it's not really what they're
It's
thinking.
not a priority right now
It's
on
not a
their radar
priority.
anyway.
Right. But I mean, they'll even they know that it is like a jab at me. They know if they say, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to get married or have kids." They say it almost jokingly to razz me because
Well,
I'm
I
like,
could see
"Don't
that.
say it." Like, don't say that. But I think part of it, I do think COVID kind of interrupted the this is my theory based
Okay.
on what I observed in the high school.
Not just the
COVID,
COVID jabs.
no, the whole
The COVID
the
experience.
the masks, the being at the virtual school,
Yeah.
the clear acrylic,
Insanity.
dividers between everyone, the
Hmm.
stay 6 feet apart nonsense. All of that interrupted a whole generation at I think a critical time when they should have been getting closer and dating and doing all of that. It stopped, it like halted everything. And then there's this blip, fast
Mm,
forward, and I just feel like they all missed it. My sons didn't get a chance to go to a prom.
okay.
Now, Clarissa did, but then it was interrupted in college. But here's
Yeah.
what I was going to say.
And to be fair, Clarissa's married with a baby.
She's married with a baby. Yes. Now, this is
Maybe
what I
it's
was
all because of prom. We got to get more people at prom. That's how we get babies made.
prom is the solution. No, but I'll say this too. My son-in-law is a good example of, I was going to say that the guys, I've seen a whole bunch of guys in this age group who do want that. They do. So I really think it's just I think two things. It comes down to personality and your development.
Okay.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if 10 years from now my sons are like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I never wanted to have a family. Now it's like all I'm looking for, It wouldn't surprise me."
And that's a real easy thing for a guy.
Yeah,
Well, because a guy can go hook up with a chick who's 8 years younger than him or 10 years younger than him and start a family and everything's great and everything's fine.
sure.
It's a little
True.
harder on the reverse. Is that
Yep.
fair?
That's fair. Sure.
Or am I being sexist, Joy?
But I think there are a whole bunch of, I agree with Matt. There's a whole bunch of guys out there. I know Brennan really he wanted to get married. He wanted to have a family and my son-in-law.
Yeah.
So there are the military guys, it's kind of like a joke that military guys want that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's because
The little more manly
I don't,
men.
I don't even think it's that. I think it gives them this feeling of a home base.
Oh, that makes sense.
I've heard people.
Look at you and your schema.
I'm just my schema. You're so funny. Anyway, so but I do think I think girls out there have been kind of lied to
Well, that's for
about
100%
gender
sure.
roles and whatever. I mean, my sons are not like big, brawny. I'm going to say physically like
Right.
manly men.
They're gamers. Employed gamers.
They're employed gamers, but they
Whatever that means.
they
I don't
like
know
being
either.
indoors better that they're not outdoorsy, but they're smart. I mean, they care about people. They have hearts, but they're smart. They're good critical thinkers. And so I'm like, I'm not worried about them
Yeah.
long
They'll
term.
figure it out.
They're definitely not feminized, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you don't think maybe it's not so much what you make. I'm just trying to crystallize your kind of
Sure.
analysis here a little bit.
Right.
Is you don't necessarily there has been a feminization that's taken place of men, but
Sure.
you don't necessarily think a lot of also what we're dealing with in Gen Z specifically is the COVID insanity, and we just don't have we really historically even we don't really have anything to look back on and have any kind of an idea how many ways that negatively impacts a society and a culture, and especially the younger people in
Mm-hmm.
that culture.
Yeah.
And so that I think is a good point that we really
Yeah.
don't.
We
We are
don't.
part of right now an active. Well, we're on the tail end with that, but we were part of an
Mm-hmm.
active sociological experiment. The
Right.
results of which we don't know what they're going to be.
Exactly. I
One of
have
the
one other.
results is people are dropping dead more than they used to.
Right.
Go
Oh
ahead.
my gosh. God watch over us all. I the other facet that I wanted to touch on is the whole like anxiety.
Hmm.
I think COVID also created this anxiety in this age group, in the Gen Zers.
Well,
And
the
some
other thing
some
is
older too.
smartphones and screens,
Yeah.
and that and
Hmm.
COVID kind of coincided into the Gen Z, into that generation.
Yep.
And neither one of those do we have any idea how that impacts
Right.
society or people or anything.
Yeah.
We're finding
The
out,
Yeah,
but
the social distancing, like psychologically, that happened with
yeah.
the phones and everything. Yeah, I think that you're right. I think it's just a whole bunch of things. But the anxiety, I mean, we need people. We need to feel connected to people. And I think when you don't, that increases anxiety. I mean,
Okay.
we have a natural human desire
Hmm.
for relationships, to
Sure.
connect with people. And so, yeah, we have this whole COVID and smartphones and virtual school because it wasn't safe to be in the same room with other people, whatever.
Yeah.
Just all those kinds of things, I think, really interrupted and maybe planted some seeds that in that age group that's having a negative impact
We
now.
screwed up an entire generation, possibly.
Possibly. I mean, some of them are going to pull
Well,
through.
it doesn't mean that
Hopefully,
they
they're not
won't
the ones who
find.
drop dead.
Yeah, I'm not saying necessarily that we've screwed them up forever, and that they may not.
Right.
Maybe this will be the generation that we see some kind of a revival forming, and there's no telling.
Right. Right.
But the fact that God may be able to heal an entire generation has nothing to do with the fact that we screwed up an entire generation. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
exactly.
The fact that
Exactly.
God's grace and mercy maybe can overflow and negate some of that, we
Hmm.
still did everything we could to ruin them.
Hmm.
Is kind of what you're saying. And I think you're
Yeah.
right. I don't I think that's a good analysis. I
I
don't
think
think
it's
either
multiple factors.
Tommy or Matt Walsh, I believe that both of their takes are a little too narrow and a little too rigid.
Yep.
I don't think
Yeah,
it's as simple as either one.
exactly. I agree with you.
You know
I
what I mean? And
agree.
that's what I'm hearing from you, and I think that you're right on that.
I think they both have a point, but I don't think it's the whole point. And
Right.
I don't think it's fair to be as general as they're both being.
There's just too much going on to have really
Yeah. And there's
any.
so many people. Obviously, we hear about the extreme cases. And
Yeah.
how about in your house? I mean, you have an engaged daughter.
Yeah.
Um, you have
Yeah.
another
Reese is
daughter
engaged.
who.
Michael's great. I love Michael. He doesn't seem at all like
Mhm.
none of those things that people worry about. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? He's a great guy
Yeah.
and loves to work with me for a while. He's just a hard worker and just
It's so
normal guy.
nice.
Likes to go
Yeah.
outside and hunt squirrels. Just normal guy.
Yeah.
And I really like him.
You
He's a good guy.
you have another daughter who I have found a husband for.
Oh, Lauren, you did. This dude's in the Coast Guard, isn't he?
Yep.
But she didn't get to meet him because
No, he had to work.
was on duty
I know.
protecting America.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. I know. It's wild. Shout out to his mom. She's one of our
But I
listeners.
will say that both my other daughters have now Kate's only she's gonna be a senior next year.
Yeah.
But she doesn't really date. She has plenty of interest, but doesn't really date.
Okay.
I mean she has interest in her, but she just is
Yes.
she's just Kate's really both of they're all special, but Kate's different and like she really loves Jesus and I mean it's just she's just different than a lot of kids. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's
Yeah.
not like it's just she's just a little different. And so is Lauren somehow in different ways. And Lauren again is one who has not had a long-term boyfriend really. And
Hmm.
I don't know, she's a very strong personality. It'll take somebody special probably to be
Yep.
that. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And she would have complaints about guys in this generation and whatever. Um but I
Right.
don't know if she would paint with such a broad brush. She would just have complaints
Yeah.
about certain ones. You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
Right. She wouldn't disregard all of them.
Yeah.
What about and then what about the youngest there?
Allie doesn't she doesn't date much either. None of them have really dated
They're
much in
kind of
high
young.
school.
Yeah, they're
So
still trying to figure stuff
yeah,
out.
I think that they'll all figure it out and they'll all find the people at the right time,
Yeah.
and but I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say that COVID wasn't a problem for them and didn't impact them.
Right.
Surely it did. Um, but they were pretty strong kids, so you
That's
know,
good.
if you've raised pretty decently, or maybe not if you've raised, maybe because that might not be fair because the
Hmm.
people who struggle with anxiety and whatever, and doesn't have anything
Right.
to do with
Yeah, sometimes
raising or
it's
whatever. You know what I
personality.
mean? It's just you can
Hmm.
just be whatever. But my point is, if you have relatively kind of stronger mentally and emotional kids, I think that COVID, and I'm not saying
Yeah.
there's a lot of those out there, but the
Yeah.
ones that there were, I think made it through COVID a little easier. But that's probably
Hmm.
true of everybody. It's probably true of adults. It's true. I mean, you still got
True.
people that are broken that are like triple masking in a car that
I
have been broken
know.
by COVID.
It's so sad.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
horribly sad. I got three more clips. We're going to
Okay.
pound through them.
Let's do it.
This is my boy Steve Bannon, and I have to tell you, I agree with him on this. Talking about AI, self-driving taxis, self-driving trucks,
Okay.
and I'm
Oh,
kind of.
wow.
It makes me feel like an old curmudgeon to agree with him, but I think I agree with him. Let's see what he says.
Is it a problem with taxi drivers? This is the thing with Elon Musk and autonomous trucks. Is the teams? What is the problem? Truck drivers are a problem. We got to get rid of them. Who's demanded autonomous trucks? Hang on? Who's demanded robot cars? Is it because we got too many people earning a living being Uber drivers and taxi drivers? This is where they force things into the system, and all of a sudden they want you to go, oh, I got to have a robotic taxi. Why the hell you need a robotic taxi? Your Uber driver's not good enough? Your taxi driver's not good enough? Your truck driver's not good enough? One of the reasons they want to gut it, the truck drivers are one of the backbones of the country and have been a backbone of the country.
Mm-hmm.
They want to make sure they ain't got to put up with truck drivers, just like they didn't want to put up with coal miners.
Yep.
Not because of the safety.
I think he's 100% right on that. And
I'm going to agree with that also. You know who probably wants what were they, robot driven taxis or whatever?
taxis. The cars are just driving themselves all over. They don't have drivers.
Yeah, do you know
And
who
trucks
probably
are driving
wants
them all.
those instead of like an Uber driver or a taxi driver? Are people in DC who don't want someone to know who they were with while they were, leaving.
Well, see, I think
leaving P Diddy's freak offs, and
I think I think you're right. Although I think it's broader than what you just painted it. I think that remember what happened in Canada. Remember in
with
Canada
the truck drivers,
with the trucker strike and how the truckers are all rolling into Ottawa. And remember, they're seizing bank accounts. They're doing everything.
Right.
Well, truck drivers can shut down an economy.
Yeah.
So if you have autonomous trucks, well, you can tell people if you don't agree with us and you're in a red state, then you're not getting your produce this week.
Wow.
It gives the government, whoever controls the little joystick, the little Nintendo joystick that's running the trucks.
Yep.
They control the world.
Yeah, I don't
That's,
like that.
I think, why they want them. I don't know that it has as much to do with taxi drivers, although
a little side
that's
benefit.
just another thing. And I will say personally, like if I was traveling, if I had something where I like to where I needed to travel more, I needed to go from here to Nashville. It's an 8-hour drive or whatever. I would love to have an autonomous car that I could just zone out in.
Sure.
Personally.
Yeah.
But I don't like the idea of autonomous trucks and everything else. I like the idea of the option, but I don't like the idea of running everything over.
Yeah, I don't either. I think if they I just feel like I wish they would concentrate more on, you say, oh, well, the truck drivers could like break an economy. Like, you know what? If that's what they're worried about, I wish that they would be more concerned with how our supply chains from China could shut down our economy.
Maybe make it so that your own citizens don't want to shut down your economy or don't have to.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Well said.
Okay, well, now we're gonna hit our conspiracy corner to end the show.
Excellent.
I love the conspiracy corner. Okay. This is an American he's dead now. American aviator John Lear talking about the moon landing. Ready?
No astronaut ever went to the moon.
No astronaut.
No astronaut ever went more than 500 miles, 400 miles into space. And the reason is because there's a Van Allen belt, which is highly radioactive, that extends from 500 miles to 25,000 miles out in space. The reason E.T. put that Van Allen belt is there so we couldn't visit any place, because they don't want us contaminating the solar system or the moon or anything else until we complete our essential job here on Earth, which is to live with integrity, without
make
envy,
autonomous
hate, or
taxis,
greed, and to express our love to our families. So they don't want us out there, and that's why they put the Van Allen belt. You would need 5 feet of lead to defeat the purpose of the radioactivity, and that's why they put it there, so that we could not get beyond. So all of the stories you hear about the moon are fake.
Wow.
What he said about the Van Allen belt is true. His other commentary that he pulled from it and why it was put there, maybe not. But what he said about the Van Allen belt is true. That is, Rogan's talked about. A lot of people have talked about the fact that we have never successfully, other than the supposed moon landing, we've never gotten through the Van Allen belt. We don't have any technology that will take us through there and cause anything to be able to survive.
Gotcha. Now, so this was discovered in 1958. The belts, they're two. Okay, I just want to clarify, because this is according to the AI overview on Google.
Okay.
Okay, but it says that the inner belt is located between 600 to 3,700 miles. So he was saying
4 to 5.
Yeah, 4 to 5.
So he's close.
Yeah. The outer belt is at a distance of roughly 8,000 to 40,000 miles above Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I think 25 was the highest he said. But, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then E.T. put him there so that none of us could get out.
That cracked me up. I was like, okay, Mr. Lear, you may have lost me just there, but that's funny. When did you say that was recorded, roughly?
I don't know. It didn't give
sorry.
It didn't give me a date.
Okay.
But just going back to the Van Allen belt, everything he said is true about the radiation, as far as we know.
Okay.
And we don't have any real good proof that anybody's ever been through it. And I'm quite certain that the Apollo with their tiny little tinfoil machines probably didn't go through the Van Allen belt. But
I need to ask my sons about this. They would be very into this.
So you can give us the Gen Z take next week.
I will.
On the Van Allen belt.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting. I would, if he had said the reason God put that there was so that we couldn't go anywhere, that I could buy. It would sound a lot like the Tower of Babel to me. But I don't think E.T.
The extraterrestrials was too far for you.
That. So, okay, there's that. And then this is going to be our final clip of the day. We are going to go back to 9/11.
Oh, okay.
This footage aired on CNN once after 9/11, and it has never been seen on TV again.
Okay.
This is pretty good. And it's a guy, he's at the Pentagon. You know, where a plane supposedly crashed into the Pentagon.
Yes.
So this aired and then was put into mothballs soon after.
Okay.
Outside the Pentagon, CNN's military affairs correspondent Jamie McIntyre. And Jamie, you got very close to where that plane went down.
That's right, Judy. A while ago, I walked right up to next to the building. Firefighters were still trying to put out the blaze. The fire, by the way, is still burning in some parts of the Pentagon. And I took a look at the huge gaping hole that's in this sideway, but from my close-up inspection, there's no evidence of a plane having crashed anywhere near the Pentagon. The only site is the actual side of the building that's crashed in, and as I said, the only pieces left that you can see are small enough that you could pick up in your hand. There are no large tail sections, wing sections, a fuselage, nothing like that anywhere around.
I wonder what happened to that plane.
Did she say anything?
I don't know. That's all I got for the clip. They ended there.
You know what I'm curious about? Okay, this is an American
No plane
Airlines.
ever hit the Pentagon.
But listen, but here's the thing. Okay,
I don't think any plane ever hit those towers.
Well, listen.
I'm just saying. I don't know what it was.
You don't
if
think
it was
plane?
a hologram.
I mean, We have videos. No, we have videos
I
of
know
them
we
hitting
do.
the
But I
towers.
don't.
Listen. The plane that supposedly hit the Pentagon, I mean, I understand they could say, oh my gosh, we think a plane hit the Pentagon. But there's an actual flight number, Flight 77, American Airlines. So where'd it go? Who was on it?
Oh, I don't doubt that flight crashed. Don't get me wrong. I don't doubt that flight crashed and those people were killed.
Oh my gosh. I
I
mean, it's like
doubt. I don't think it happened.
67.
It didn't happen at the Pentagon.
It's a small flight.
I don't doubt
67
that
people?
I don't doubt that the
64.
plane in Pennsylvania was shot down.
Oh,
Not
really?
shot down. I don't think it was that. That I think is pretty common knowledge at this point. But
But what about like Todd Beamer? Remember the
that's a
guy
good
Todd
story.
Beamer? It is a good story, but like,
He probably did it. I mean, I don't know I don't know what they were told or what they thought was going on. I think I'm not saying that people didn't die and that there weren't victims and that planes
Right.
didn't go down. I'm
right.
simply saying that the show that we were given wasn't what happened. That wasn't where planes went down. That wasn't what happened. There was no
Yeah.
way those planes crashed into the towers. You couldn't convince me that on their best day, these Saudi pilots who learned to fly on their laptops could even hit the Twin Towers. I just don't believe it.
Oh my
Now, what does
gosh.
that mean? I don't know what that means. All I know is that slowly but surely, drip by drip, more and more and more is coming out. And someday we'll know. Someday we'll find out.
Oh, I know what else I want to ask you. This guy's name is Jamie.
Jamie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is his name on
McIntyre?
there?
Oh, I got rid of the clip. I don't know.
Oh shoot.
Sorry.
I wanted to look up that guy because I wonder if that guy has
And it wasn't
ever
listed on the.
I wonder if that guy has ever been allowed to broadcast again.
Probably not.
Seriously.
I know. They disappear people. Jamie McIntyre. I know it was McIntyre. I didn't catch the first name. And I
Okay.
can't even find the clip now, so.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. He was a Pentagon correspondent from 92 to 2008.
Okay. So he was around.
Okay.
They got to him and they buried that footage and he never talked about it again.
I guess.
Because it's like The Godfather. It was either his brains or his signature on that contract. You can do whichever one you want. But one way or the other.
Oh, wow. So on Wikipedia, Jamie
Mm-hmm.
McIntyre, there is a 9/11 section.
Oh, look at this. He carries our research. She just doesn't do it until we're in the show.
I do it live because I don't know the topics in advance. So. No, listen to this, though. This is all it says. McIntyre was in the Pentagon on September 11th, 2001, when American Airlines Flight 77, commandeered by 5 terrorists, crashed into the side of the building, killing all on board, including 64 passengers and crews and 125 people in the Pentagon. So no mention
So he
of
was definitely there.
he was there, but there's no mention of him saying
Yeah.
he reported that there was no evidence of a plane being. That's wild.
How would a plane
Dad.
crash into the Pentagon? And I was, at the time,
Yeah.
I kind of thought there's no tail sections, there's no wings.
Mhm.
What the hell happened? I mean,
I know.
it's all these
I mean,
strange things. It's like steel towers
it's a
that get
small.
hit
This
way
is a
up in
very
the
small
air and
plane.
just. How would that cause a steel tower to crumble like that, to implode?
Well, yeah, that's
I don't know.
questionable. But the plane,
Trump
I think
wondered that the day of.
I think the plane happened. I just don't think it was the only cause of the damage.
You think the plane actually hit the Pentagon and they
Yes.
just somehow were able to.
Oh no, of the towers.
Oh,
The
you think
towers.
the plane? Yeah, maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Here's a question.
They
Don't
got
you think-
holograms, don't you see? I told you in Sri Lanka, you got like whales through the air and stuff,
Oh my
and they
gosh.
look real.
Don't you think, though, that the Pentagon has security cameras all over the property?
Oh, there's security cameras all over, but if you think we're
And
ever
I
going to
don't-
see that footage, you're crazy.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I don't think they ever showed any.
No.
They showed planes hitting the towers, ad nauseum.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
we didn't ever see anything at the Pentagon. I'm thinking that's where you'd have the most video footage
One would think.
because, inside the building, outside the building, all the property, they've got to have whatever.
I think Cash and Bongino have got to get on 9/11. That's what I'm more interested in than the
Oh, there you
stupid pipe
go.
bomber and the cocaine.
Well,
I
I'd
want to
like.
know if there was a real moon landing, and I
Yeah.
want to know what the hell happened on 9/11. That's what I want to know. And
There you
Oklahoma
go.
City bombing. I think that was fake too.
Oh,
Well, when
okay.
I say
Oklahoma.
fake, I don't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah,
I think
you
they
think it
blew the
was.
building up. I think the government blew the side of their own building off. And I'd like to
Wow.
know why.
Yep.
I just saw something. I don't have the clip, but there was like a
Okay.
side by side comparison of like Timothy McVeigh and
Yeah.
this like current or relatively current FBI agent, and they look
Uh-huh.
identical. I
Who
don't
are
know
who
what
are the
that
two
means.
who are the two
Timothy
people?
McVeigh,
Yeah.
the Oklahoma City bomber,
And an FBI
and a
agent?
current FBI agent. Obviously, he'd be way older now.
Oh, I see
And
what
they
you're
look,
saying.
it's like, wait a
Yeah.
minute.
Yep.
Wait a minute. Weird things are afoot, my friends. That's why
Yep.
that's why you tune into Todd's World.
That's right.
We got Trump in office at least. That's good. And we got Dan Bongino and Cash Patel listening to each other's faucets and toilets in their offices. But I believe that they're the right people for the job.
Definitely. Oh my gosh.
And we're
Well,
going to solve the Gen Z problem someday on Todd's World.
I hope so. I know we're here talking about it, and we're gonna monitor its
We're Gen
progress.
Xers. God put us here for such a time as this, which is to solve all of the world's problems. For some reason, it falls to Gen X.
100%. Because we are capable. Because we just deal with shit and we fix problems.
All right, guys. Well, listen, that's all we can do today. We did
Okay.
everything, all the damage we could do. You think, Carrie?
I think so.
I think we did good. Thank you
I
for
mean,
joining
we
me
could
today.
talk all
Join
day
us for
about
Beers
conspiracies.
tomorrow.
Yes.
Beers with Jesus. We explore the story of the Bible.
Mhm.
Join us for this every week. Leave us a 5-star review.
Yeah.
Tell your friends. Send clips out. All the stuff. Find us on the socials.
Please.
And we'll be back next week.
Cool.
Right?
We'll see you then.
Yeah. We'll be here for beers tomorrow, so tune in. I'm telling you, you'll like beers.
You really will.
So
We don't usually drink Big Gretch
we're
while
not super preachy. We just explore the story.
Yeah, it's a great story.
And we enjoy it.
I learn something every week, Todd.
Every week. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us today. We'll catch you next week. Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you.